We'll lead you off with this one. Obviously, putting up a big fourth quarter in the Apple Cup, coming off a big game from a traditional standpoint against Wazoo. It's a 3-0 football team. What I'm seeing without watching a play to date, Damon Williams is a guy we got familiar with last year. Of course, the running back transfer from Arizona's, one of the better backs in the nation. Maybe the defense is a bit sloppy at this point, but you can fill us in starting with the first three games for the Huskies.
Yeah, competition not great. Colorado State probably a little bit better than we thought. They'll probably have a decent record, but at the end of the year, the UC Davis game, that was like a scrimmage, and then the Washington State game. Still not quite sure what this team is. I think we have a good idea on offense, but with the competition that they've had, Ryan Walters is a really good defensive coordinator, and he's tended to keep everything pretty vanilla. Washington State hung around a little bit more last week while Washington was playing a real soft zone. But once they tightened that up and got a little bit more physical on the corners and started getting a little bit more pass rush, they really put the hammer down on Washington State. So have we seen the true Washington defense? I'm not quite sure we have yet.
And I'll open it up to Steve, Tony, and Kevin to size up the matchup from here.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. I think Damon Williams has been such a very pleasant surprise so far. And granted, the caliber and the quality of the competition, as I looked at the records, I think the opponents' combined records would be roughly just a game or two above 500, maybe. I don't know, but I look at it and I see a guy that is so effective converting third down. I think that's the most impressive thing that you see. I mean, when a team has scored on its last 21 possessions, excluding the end of the half kneel downs, all the way back to the middle of the Colorado State game, 2.5 games, I'm not sure, what else there really is to say other than they can be all inspiring, I think, at times with the football, and he's probably the biggest part of it. What part of his game's really impressed you, I guess?
Well, first of all, his leadership. He just turned 19 years old. He's young. So when you can be named a team captain at 19 years of age on a team like Washington, if you stood next to him, he is not very big. He's probably maybe 5'10", maybe 185 pounds. He's just not that big. He's not that impressive off the hoof, but he's running a 4.3 and he's got a big arm and he's elusive and he has a good grasp of the offense. And I always say, if you're going to be a quarterback, you want your coach to love you some like Jed Fish loves Damon Williams, and he's earned it. He's a real special player. He's going to be tough to contain, and I think that's going to be the big question mark. He started the game last year at Louisville and had a really good game, and can that offensive line keep him upright? Can he escape that Ohio State defense like he's been able to be elusive? One of the criticisms of him is, go down, young man. He hasn't been really good at going down. He's taken on some linebackers. He's taken on some safeties that probably seem unnecessary at times, being that small. So we'll see if he gets down and if that offensive line can protect him this coming Saturday.
Staying on the offensive side, for people who haven't had a chance to see Jonah Coleman, 9 rushing touchdowns, I'll throw in a receiving touchdown just for, grins and ha-has, but, not a tall back, but really seems to be like a bowling ball with that low center of gravity. I mean, what is your best way of describing how he runs and what his impact is?
Well, I think the biggest stat that to me personally that stands out with Jonah Coleman, 3.9 GPA. He's a really good kid. And that means a lot to me when a kid can be as good as he is and then getting it done in the classroom as well. And last week at Washington State, I was, I'm on the sidelines for every game. And he ran by me, got within 3 or 4 feet of me going full speed. I don't want none of that. I don't want any of that. He is 5'9". He's 225, 230. You take a look at his lower body, and then he gets low. I don't know how you tackle it. He's a monster. I mean, he's an absolute monster. We'll see. I really like the way Jonah plays, and I really like his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's really improved on his pass protection as well. Rob Rang, who's a noted draft analyst up here, has him going in the first round to the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see, but he's a load. And then the guy in back of him, Adam Muhammad, he's a little bit taller, 6'1", 230 pounds. Absolutely. Scotty Graham, and I know you know Scotty. Scotty said it best. He goes, "There's a lot of ice cream on that cone," about Jonah. And Adam Muhammad, he calls him lunch money, because you see Adam Muhammad with his shirt off. If he asks you for lunch money, you're giving it to him. And kind of the wild card in that backfield is Jordan Washington, who hasn't played a lot, but he runs a 10, 200 meters. So you get a couple of those hammers in there, and then you get Jordan Washington on that fly sweep, and he could become a little bit of an X factor come this Saturday. But Jonah Coleman and Adam Muhammad, that's a lot of beef right there.
I've watched the Washington State game and the Colorado State game, and I tried to explain Jonah Coleman to Buckeye fans and you may not understand this reference. He's like Mayan Williams, but a lot better. He's like built low to the ground, yep, and is strong and fast enough and just fun to watch. Defensively, what's the latest with Tacario Davis? I know on Monday, Jed Fish wasn't too committal on him playing, and if he can't go, what was it? Leroy Bryant basically got benched during that game because he was getting beaten so badly. Gave up 3 or 4 big plays against Washington State. If Tacario Davis can't go, and they're trying to find the 3 guys, they're working on those 3 guys that they want to put outside, that also maybe weakens the inside situation. If Leroy Bryant is outside, he's no longer at nickel, right? So what's the latest on the secondary there at corner and nickel then?
Well, Leroy Bryant, let's be fair, he was starting nickel, and then he got put outside, and then in addition, they were running that real soft zone again. So I don't know how much you can put on Leroy Bryant, or how much of that has to do with the scheme, or a combination of both. When they finally took him out, they brought in Dylan Robinson, who's really going to have a bright future, and he's 6'2", 6'3" corner as well, but he's only in his first year, and at 18 years old, that's a lot to ask. But Tacario Davis, he warmed up, he was suited up, he warmed up, and then they decided not to play him. I'll be honest, I'd be very, very surprised if Tacario Davis doesn't play. Tacario Davis and Ephesian Price, I'd probably give the edge to ability to Tacario. I'm expecting both of those corners to be NFL types. Those kind of body types playing corner are hard to find. So, but right now, I'd be really surprised if we didn't see Tacario Davis. I think the bigger question mark is their linebacker, Buddha Tariq Al-Ukta. I think that's going to be a bigger question mark than Tacario, to be honest with you.
And then Washington is also possibly getting back a transfer with a ton of experience who, and the name is escaping me right now, hasn't played this season, but is transferring in, and he could step in and maybe take some of those snaps from Al-Ukta and maybe make that loss less harmful?
Exria Alexander transferred in, and we call Tariq, everybody calls him Buddha, and if you saw him, you'd understand why. He looks like Jonah Coleman. He's built like Jonah Coleman. Washington has a couple of linebackers built like Jonah Coleman, but Buddha, I think, is the leader on that defensive side of the ball. He's experienced. He's just one of those guys, and you guys know this. When you have a linebacker who's just always in on every play, I mean, every play, and always around the football, that's what Buddha is. And if he's not able to play, I think that's a big loss, and that's definitely something that Washington fans should be concerned about. And I think it's definitely something that Ohio State would indeed target. And he was on crutches after the Washington State game, and when asked about that, Coach Fish said, not good. So we'll see.
And then what's the situation on the defensive line? I saw that there's an Uyunglele there, and that was they're everywhere. We know that, but just break down the defensive line and the pass rush, because I think that, to me, that's what this is going to come down to, is Julian Sayin having time to throw, at least for the Ohio State offense. And if he doesn't, then I think this is going to be a game, certainly throughout.
Pass rush has not been great. Zach Durfee is one of those guys the running jokes that we run about Zach Durfee, because he wasn't able to play his first year here with some weird transfer stuff, and he got ruled where he couldn't play. But Zach Durfee's probably the best player on edge to give them that pass rush. And let's be honest, I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot. But again, where I'm talking about this defense, I'm not sure what they have over there with Ryan Walters. And I'm sure you're familiar with Ryan. He was the head coach at Purdue, didn't get a lot of support there, was let go. But a lot of people say he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. How much is he holding back? How much of this scheme is he holding back? Because when it comes to talent, and you take a look at the Ohio State defense and you take a look at the Washington defense, the talent level is not comparable in any way, shape, or form. So to me personally, I think what they have on defense and what they're going to show is what we saw. Is that who they are, or is he going to open some things up? I think that's, for me personally, that's the big question mark. What are they going to do? They haven't really had to blitz that much, and they haven't been that aggressive, but they haven't needed to. So we'll see. And when it comes to defense, they have that 12th man up here. Husky Stadium is a very, very difficult place to play in an electric atmosphere. It's noisy. I mean, Julian Sayin's going to experience something he's never experienced before. And how does he handle that? And I think a lot of people fail to forget how young these guys are sometimes. What is he, 20?
Yeah.
20?
He's a young guy.
He's 20. And coming into that kind of an atmosphere, he's not going to be able to make any verbal adjustments. It's not going to happen. And for those of you who've been at Husky Stadium, I've been to loud stadiums in the past. I've been to LSU, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State, Penn State. I've been to a lot of these stadiums, and they're loud. Washington's different. And what makes it different is they have more seats between the goal lines than any stadium in the country. They don't have a lot of end zone seats. Almost everything is between the goal lines. And then you take a look up at the roof line. We call them the jaws. And that roof line isn't straight out. It's actually tilted down to keep it, like that. And that noise off of that metal, it comes right down at you. How's he going to handle that? I don't think we know yet, but it's going to be interesting to see.
That's a great question. And I didn't really experience it in 2007. Washington was going through a rough time there with Tyrone Willingham as the coach.
We don't mention, he shall not be mentioned. You can't mention Tyrone.
That's two schools he's not mentioned at, because I think Notre Dame feels the same way, even though he was the sportsman of the year in whatever that was, 2002 at Notre Dame. But he worked we went Stanford, Notre Dame, and then Washington, and then probably just sitting at home counting his buyout money. But I think about I didn't see or experience that, and I was down on the field for that game because Ohio State kind of led that game throughout. 33-14 was the final score. Scored a touchdown on the last play. I think Brandon Sain broke a touchdown, and Jim Tressel had to apologize to Tyrone for that. I think they weren't trying to run it up. It just happened, But one of the things that I brought up to Coach Day, I brought up the two stats, which to me are just, hit you right between the eyes. One of them is the effective pass rush rate of 50%. Washington leads the country in 4-man pass rush, 50%. And then the other one was the stat we alluded to earlier, 21 or 22 consecutive scoring possessions, not all of them touchdowns. There were some field goals in there, plus a pick six from McLaughlin in the game last week. They're even scoring on defense, for God's sake. And they made a real funny comment. He said, the punt reel, as they go through to watch it, wasn't real long. I think there were 2 pooch punts that they had against Colorado State, and that was about it. So, I mean, Washington you can say what you want. You can play bad competition and not dominate. They've played, quasi, they haven't played Texas. Let's just put it that way, like Ohio State has, but they've played 3 teams and they've dominated them. They didn't even get a vote in the AP poll this week. Not one voting point for Washington at 3-0 after beating Washington State by 30 points. And they came in at number 33 in the coaches poll. So at least some Big Ten coaches looked around and said, who can we prop up here from the Big Ten? I can't have it all SEC ballot. So,
well, let's be honest. The first game, 8 o'clock in Seattle. Second game, 8 o'clock in Seattle. Third game.
Yeah, no one's seen them.
4:30. Nobody's seen them.
Nobody's seen them.
And then in addition, if you took a map of where the voters are and you put a dot on where the voters are, what, 80% of them are east of the Mississippi?
More than likely. Yeah.
We were cracking up because it sounded like some Ohio State fans were complaining about the 12:30 starts back in Columbus. We'll take them. Those 8 o'clock games when we don't get home till 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, it's awful.
It's awful, And what's funny is after the Washington State game, I got back to the hotel about 11:30. Turned on the TV. USC was still playing Michigan State at 11:30.
Yeah, crazy.
I saw a couple minutes of that game and was like, I don't care enough. And went to bed.
Yeah, I mean, 11:30. That's 2:30 in the morning for these, some of these kids. So I don't know, but I think the reason they're not getting the votes is nobody's seen them play.
Well, and they weren't ranked in the preseason, so they're not going to be there with the no benefit of big wins. But yeah, I was surprised because I don't pay attention to the rankings, so I wanted to see, where exactly was Washington ranked this week, and then to see there's no votes in the AP, like that's just a product of them not being ranked in the preseason. And then, as you said, nobody's seen them yet, but they're going to see them on Saturday.
Big game on CBS. They've got the spotlight pretty much to themselves. There's a lot of good games going on, and we'll definitely have our eye on that Oregon-Penn State game as well. So, have you guys been to State College?
Oh, yes. 10, 15 times. Yeah. Jesus.
I kind of said I'd never been there. Pullman's in the middle of nowhere, but Happy Valley takes it to a whole different place. But we flew into Pittsburgh, and I don't know if this makes sense or not, but I'm sure some of you guys have seen The Sopranos.
Oh, yeah.
The woods where they go out to kill people, and dump the bodies. The entire drive from Pittsburgh to State College, it looks like that on both sides of the highway, the whole way. The whole way.
Route 22 in. There used to be a drive-through gentleman's club off of Route 22.
Good Lord.
They finally got Interstate 99 built, which made more sense to take the turnpike to 99. But the first couple trips to State College that I made
were brutal.
You would take
road.
You would get there. You would eventually link up with 22. You wouldn't go all the way to Pittsburgh, but you'd link in and. Yeah, it makes Eugene seem accessible and large and bustling. It does State College.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the guys from Michigan, when we played in the national championship game and we were down there and joining the Big Ten, he told me all of the Big Ten road trips were going to be fun. Once. And coming from Seattle, every one of the road trips, it seems like it's flying somewhere to drive somewhere. We don't get to hit the Bay Area. We don't get to hit any of the Arizona schools. We don't get to go to Salt Lake City. We don't get to go to Colorado. So we're going to Iowa. We're going to Columbus. We're going to Ann Arbor. We're going to State College. So, the travel is definitely different in the Big Ten. I'll tell you that.
How has it been received by the fans? I mean, they can't travel to maybe as many games as they used to, getting to LA to go to the USC and UCLA games. And as you said, to the Bay Area for Stanford and Cal. How has it been received, I guess, by the fans? I mean, they have to, some of their, the converse is some of these games, they have to wake up at 8:30 on a Saturday morning and wipe the stuff out of their eyes so they can tune in at 9 o'clock to watch maybe one or two games a year when Washington's in a noon Eastern time game. I don't know how many times that's happened yet, but I'm sure it will.
Just once.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a culture shock probably, but
the thing of it is with this city, Seattle, the Big Ten footprint's pretty heavy in the city of Seattle. There's a lot of Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa. There's a lot of alumni in this city from a lot of the Big Ten schools. So I think generally it's been kind of positive on that front, but I think still the feeling from schools like Washington that have joined the Big Ten. I felt it at Media Day. It's like, who are you guys? What are you guys doing here? There's still a little bit of that. They don't know what Seattle is, what Washington is, what we at dogman.com. We've been doing this since '97, but it's just kind of like, who are you guys? We're just kind of the new guys at the party. We're going to a new school. It's a new high school. We don't know anybody.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm flying out Friday morning and can't wait to get out there. I know it's going to be a lot of fun.
No, it's going to be electric. Get there early. Expecting it's going to be loud. Your wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, he didn't do it on purpose, but he said Autzen Stadium. The Media Day, he said Autzen Stadium was the loudest stadium he'd ever been at, and they know it. Fans know that. It's been out there. People are promoting that, and it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud.
Well, and Ryan Day on Monday or Tuesday, he talked about how they can't let the crowd keep them from being aggressive offensively. Yeah. And, they'll do all of the silent counts and things like that. Cause they came out of the Texas game saying they could have been more aggressive with Sayin, but that was his first game. So I'm interested to see how far progressed they are to be more aggressive, but also this being the first road game. And I'm with you on what exactly has Ryan Walters shown to this point, because there's no need to show anybody anything against the first three opponents. And that would also help explain why Washington State was so successful in those first three quarters as well, offensively. But yeah, I'm expecting some differences with this Washington defense, and then we'll see how they handle the crowd.
Well, there again, Washington's offensive line, who's actually played pretty well last year, was awful. By the time Jed Fish got hired, and by putting together, a roster with, he had to completely rebuild the roster. I kind of equated it to him putting a roster together by going to Walmart at 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve and going, that's it. But this year's offensive line seems a lot better with Carver Willis at left tackle, the big transfer from Kansas State. Keep an eye on number 72. He's a youngin'. He's only a pure freshman, John Mills, but he's a large human. But he's probably, I would peg him right now as a freshman All-American. But keep in word that word freshman. Landon Hatchett at center had been injured quite a bit before this year, and he's playing real well. And his brother was transferring from Oklahoma at right guard. He seems to be playing fine as well. And then right side, another very large human, a transfer from San Diego State, Drew Azzopardi. He played last year, and big improvement from last year. And how do they handle that Ohio State defensive line? Because as much as Julian Sayin has never seen a crowd like Washington, I don't think these offensive linemen at Washington have seen a defensive front and a defensive, linebackers like they're going to see this week against Ohio State.
Kim, we know you need to shovel off, but we appreciate the breakdown. I've got one last question because I try to keep track of as much personnel as possible. So besides kind of the obvious guys, and you gave us a couple emerging guys along the offensive line, anybody on defense that's kind of, at least to start the season, flying under the